If you thought buying a flagship Android phone was already expensive, things might get even worse, because Qualcomm is getting ready to launch not just one flagship processor this year, but several. And if the latest leaks are true, we're about to see one of the biggest changes in Snapdragon history. For years, things were simple. Every year, Qualcomm announced one new flagship chip. Phone makers used it, and that was pretty much it. But now, everything is changing. Instead of one flagship processor, Qualcomm could release 4 or even 5 high-end chips before the end of the year. That means more choices, more confusion, and probably more expensive smartphones. The biggest news is the move to 2nm technology. We've been hearing about 2nm for a long time. Now it's finally becoming real. Apple is preparing its next-generation chips. MediaTek is working on the Dimensity 9600. Samsung already introduced its own 2nm Exynos earlier this year, and now Qualcomm is joining the race. But here's where things become interesting. Qualcomm isn't making just one 2nm chip, it's making two. The first one is expected to be the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6. The second is something completely new, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6 Pro. Yes, a Pro version. That's something we haven't really seen before in Qualcomm's flagship mobile processors. So what's the difference? At first, they may look very similar. Both are built using advanced 2nm technology. Both use Qualcomm's newest Orion CPU design. Both support the latest UFS 5.0 storage. Both include a large cache for better performance, and both are expected to support future technologies like Wi-Fi 8 and Bluetooth 7. So far, they sound almost identical, but there are a few important differences. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6 Pro is expected to support the brand new LPDDR6 memory. Most flagship phones today still use LPDDR5X RAM. LPDDR6 should be even faster. That means quicker loading, quicker multitasking, and potentially better gaming performance. But there's a catch. LPDDR6 memory is also expected to be much more expensive, and right now, memory prices are already going up around the world, so using LPDDR6 could make flagship phones cost even more. The Pro chip is also expected to include a faster graphics processor. Instead of the standard Adreno 845 GPU, it may use a more powerful Adreno 850. It will also have more graphics memory built into the chip. That could help with demanding games, ray tracing, AI graphics, and future mobile games that need even more power. Qualcomm is also said to be adding a new AI feature called AI Frame Fusion. Now, don't worry about the complicated name. The simple idea is this: use artificial intelligence to make games look smoother and better while using hardware more efficiently. We've already seen AI becoming a huge part of smartphones. Now it's becoming part of gaming too. The Pro version is also expected to include Qualcomm's newest X105 modem. That should improve mobile network performance and efficiency. And there's another interesting detail. The Pro version may be the only one that fully supports Samsung's new APV codec through dedicated hardware. That might not matter to everyone, but it could be an important clue. Some people believe Samsung's future Galaxy S27 Ultra could use this Pro chip instead of the standard version. Nothing is officially confirmed yet, but it's definitely something worth watching. Now here's where things become a little surprising. Even though Qualcomm is launching powerful new 2nm chips, many flagship phones may not actually use them. Why? Money. Making 2nm processors is incredibly expensive. The chips cost more, the memory costs more, building the phones costs more. So instead of putting the newest processor in every flagship, many companies may continue using improved versions of last year's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Yes, a 3nm processor, even in some brand new flagship phones. At first, that sounds strange. Why launch a new flagship with an older chip? But when you think about it, it actually makes sense. The Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 is already extremely powerful. Most users won't notice a huge difference in everyday tasks. Games already run smoothly, apps already open instantly, videos already play perfectly. For many people, the older chip will still feel incredibly fast. Using it also helps manufacturers keep prices lower. Well, lower than they would have been. Leaks suggest Qualcomm is preparing several updated versions of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. These could appear in phones that want flagship performance without paying the full price of the new 2nm processors. That's probably good news for buyers, because not everyone wants to spend over $1,000 on a smartphone. Now let's talk about gaming. If these leaks are true, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6 Pro could become the dream processor for mobile gamers. A faster GPU, new AI gaming features, faster memory, and all the advantages of the 2nm process. That sounds like an incredible combination, but don't expect every gaming phone to use it immediately. The higher cost means we'll probably only see it inside premium gaming phones, Ultra models, or Pro Max devices. The standard Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6 will likely appear in more flagship phones. It should still offer amazing performance while using less power than previous generations. That's actually one of the biggest advantages of 2nm technology. It's not only about making phones faster, it's also about making them more efficient. A more efficient processor produces less heat, it uses less battery, and it can keep high performance for a longer time before slowing down. That's exactly what gamers want. Nobody likes a phone that gets hot after 15 minutes. Efficiency is becoming just as important as raw power. Looking at everything together, it feels like Qualcomm is changing its entire strategy. Instead of offering one flagship chip for everyone, it's creating different levels of flagship performance, a standard version, a pro version, and improved versions of older processors. That gives phone companies more choices, but it also makes buying a phone more confusing. You'll probably have to pay much closer attention to which processor is actually inside your next smartphone, because two flagship phones could have two different chips and two very different prices. One thing is already becoming clear. The smartphone industry is entering a new chapter. Smaller processors, more AI, more gaming power, more choices, but unfortunately probably much higher prices too. The next generation of Android phones is going to be incredibly exciting. The only question now is whether all this extra performance is actually going to be worth paying so much more for. That's something we'll only know once these phones finally arrive and we see how they perform in the real world.